What's going on, you guys? It's Ginger on Wheels here. Thanks for stopping by the channel where we test and review the latest electrically wheeled gadgets. This is going to be a video for all you people out there who ask me, what's the best scooter I can get for around $1,000? I got sent this scooter from Amazon. It's called the Leoout. It's got a dual 1200 watt motors on a 52 volt system. It seems pretty well built, but I'm not sure. So let's roll the intro and test ride this thing. All right, so before we start, let's show you what we're working with here. It's got a gold finish on the neck piece here, the clamp, and also the swing arms, which I think is pretty cool. The name, the brand though, Leoout? I don't know. Well, just come up with any other name but that is what it is. It's got an on-off switch up here for the lights. These are all very basic components that we've been seeing for years on scooters, which is part of the reason why this thing is so cheap. I'm pretty sure they have like 10 bins of parts from scooters in the past, and then they just like combined parts as best they could and created this Franken scooter. It's got cable actuated disc brakes in the front and rear. It's got this really old TF100 throttle display here. I do like that they took the time to wrap up the cables. Has a nice little finish on it. We've got our standard Eco Turbo and single dual buttons right here. It actually surprisingly has turn signals. You can push the power button to get the display to turn on. If you push the turn signal thing to the left, you can see we got blinky lights down there. You can turn it to the right, get blinky lights down there, and when you hit the brakes, they both blinky. It has a nice little horn built in. I think the horn and the light are actually built into the same little plastic piece up here. You can see the light's not bad, not great though. We got our two little runner lights up on the front of the deck. There's our cable actuated disc brakes right there. So these shocks look like air shocks, but I think they're actually coil shocks, maybe with some hydraulic fluid in here. And it's not bad. It keeps the spring covered from any dirt and debris that might fling up from the 10-inch hybrid tires that we have on the back here. Some pretty decent looking fenders, not quite long enough to keep the mud tail off your back. Another fender in the front. A good example of this thing being a Franken scooter is that the fender with the stock hardware did not fit on this thing without rubbing on the tire, so I had to add some spacers underneath the fender here on assembly. The scooter also came with the missing bolts, so they don't seem like they're doing that much QC at the factory. I read some really bad reviews on Amazon from customer service, so don't expect much support for this thing if it does break, but for $1,099, I think you're gonna be pretty hard pressed to beat this scooter. It's got a 52 volt, 25 amp hour battery with dual charge ports right here. I can't imagine we have the highest quality cells in there, but if that's a true spec, then it's actually pretty good. On paper, this thing has the same specs as the Kukirin G3 Pro, but there's just like zero customer support, and the design is, I mean, pretty basic at this point. I do like the triple clamp though. We've got 3 clamps over here. It's all held together by one big clamp on the side. It's a pretty rugged clamping mechanism there. You got a couple little keys up here. When you turn them on, you can see the voltage of the scooter, which is at 57.9. It's a very full charge for a 52 volt scooter. But how it looks is all well and good. We're out to test how it rides. So let's hop on this thing and see how it works out. And just FYI, the speedometer in this test is going to be reading in kilometers per hour. I have not switched it over to miles per hour yet. Oh, I think we're in single motor mode. Let's get that into dual. Yep, there we go. Holy smokes. It's got a lot of torque for a 52 volt scooter. Very bouncy suspension off-road. Not the best. All right, let's send it, see how fast this thing actually goes. They claim 40 mile per hour top speed. Looks like we're getting 71. I'm not sure how fast that is in miles per hour, but can someone do the calculations for me and put it in the comments? Ooh, very mushy cable actuated brakes. It does feel like it has regen braking in the controllers though. Let's see how it does up this big hill in front of me. Like I said, we're only working with a 52 volt system, so I don't expect a lot of torque or hill climbing power for that matter. I'm 230 pounds in this video with all my gear. Just hit a big cluster of bugs. That was pleasant. Top speed up the hill looks like 40 miles per hour, or 40 kilometers per hour. Slows down significantly up hills. Oh, looks like 35 now. Yeah, there's definitely regen braking going on. I can feel it. I like this color of gold. On the Wolf King GT Pro and the GTR, you get a gold color scooter, but it's kind of like a yellowy gold. This looks like actual gold. I don't mean to compare this scooter to the GTR or the GT Pro at all in this video. Those are 72 volt scooters. This thing's 52, so significantly faster and more torquey on the Wolves, but I was just talking about the gold color. Try out another little top speed test here. It's trying its hardest. Looks like 68 kph on flat ground. Not bad, not bad. I'm gonna have to keep reminding myself during this video that this scooter only cost $1,099. plus tax on Amazon. To put that in perspective, just a few years ago, the 17 mile per hour 9-bot max commuter scooter was $9.99. I've seen a lot of videos recently about big stockpiles of batteries in China, so I think that the cheap battery cells are getting really cheap. And being the most expensive component of a scooter, the battery, now that they're cheaper, it's making the entire scooters a lot cheaper. We're not getting LG or Samsung batteries for this price. It's some suspicious Chinese brand battery, but as long as it works, right? Probably not gonna last nearly as many charge cycles. Battery health will decline a lot faster in the long run. This scooter does include one 2-amp stock charger. Not the worst thing in the world. We've got the standard 10-inch hybrid tires, which do work very well. And if you need a new set, you can go to pevoutlet.com, pick up street or off-road or hybrid tires if you want. Test out a new set. That's my online shop. Sorry, I gotta mention it in every video, just like Linus has to mention lttstore.com in every one of his videos. The suspension is very bouncy, not in a good way, it's kind of in a weird way. I feel a lot of the vibrations being transferred up to my head. I really would love to know what kind of springs or hydraulics they've got working in the suspension there, but I couldn't get an answer from them when I asked. Turn on my blinker that nobody can see and turn. Blinker off. We're gonna do a tiny bit of off-roading in this thing just to see, just to make sure. That insane front tire torque wore off pretty quickly though. Down to 51 volts on the battery here. Only been going for like a mile, 36 kph uphill. All right, let's test this thing out off-road a little bit. All right, we're here in the off-roady section. Let's turn on our headlights just to be sure. Tiny bit safer and send it. Ooh, off-leash dog, okay. Can't go wrong with the 10-inch hybrid tires off-road. Very solid tire. Another dog, hello. Uh-oh, place turns into a dog park during the day, I did not know. Not digging the cable actuated brakes for the off-roady action. Very lackluster torque, but the tires do an excellent job of gripping. It's been raining for the last few days too, so this is extra mushy. For the record, my favorite setup for off-roading is a 72 volt scooter running with single motor. It just runs the rear motor, you don't have as much slippage. Or if you have the Wolf King GTR in speed mode 4, then it has traction control. The scooter is far from that though. Not bad, not bad. I keep having to remind myself, $1,099. Does anyone know of a faster or better scooter for the price? Because if you do, leave it in the comments. This Leoout scooter is pretty impressive for the price. It's very basic, somewhat low voltage, but got dual motors, got suspension. It's got the cool gold colors. If you're looking into like buying your first scooter, this would be a good entry-level scooter. It's gonna teach you a lot about electronics really quickly too, because the customer support is but trust me, when you buy something this expensive and it breaks, you will learn how to fix it. It's worth noting that you can leave the headlight on without having the scooter on this thing, so make sure you turn it off when you're done riding. That front tire is pretty brutal acceleration, at least when no one's on it. Nice, this thing can definitely off-road. When you've got a dual motor scooter with anything but street tires, off-roading is not difficult, unless you have garbage suspension. This suspension really isn't bad though. I don't know what kind it is. It seems fairly unique to this scooter, but it works. Oh, they gravelled up my favorite trail. Might have to hop in the road. Yeah, let's hop in the road. That's just a lot of work. Am I in eco mode? Oh no, now I'm in eco mode. Man, eco mode is just feels like I just castrated the scooter. Speed mode 3 with eco mode on, top speed 25 kph. It cuts the power down by like more than half, it feels like. Let's go out, let's go back into turbo mode. A little bit of a top speed test again. This is with 70% battery this time. Still about 70 kph. Not bad at all. Let's hit some more trail action. So many driveways, you gotta be careful with driveways. Cars might just suddenly fly out. Whoa, another one. Gotta duck under the branches here. Another thing that makes this scooter better for off-roading, it's got shorter bars. I'm 6'2" and these bars feel like maybe about an inch too short for comfortable street cruising. But they're great for off-road. And if you're only like 5'8", 5'9", something like that, then probably be good for you on street cruising. They're not adjustable at all. This is sort of weird. Top speed, when you get to top speed on this thing, it's a Franken scooter, so this is to be expected, kind of. But the controllers don't feel like they match the motors very well. When it hits top speed, it'll sort of cut the power for a second, go down a couple kph, and then initiate full power again. So it's just constantly like rev limiting around the top end. Oh, what a nice day for a ride. It's been raining, of course, again here for like last few days. It feels nice to get out the house. All right, I just floored it for like a mile. The controller didn't blow up, so there's that. This really isn't the worst quality scooter in the world. For $1,099, I'm still just like, how did they manage to make a scooter so cheap? That includes shipping and stuff too. The fact that they can design, manufacture, and ship a scooter with this big of a battery and dual motors and stuff for $1,000 just blows my mind. Whoa. Little skinny off-road trail, lots of rocks and roots. Suspension does okay, it's medium. It's not, oh, this is a hill. The suspension isn't fantastic, but it's also not the worst I've ever felt. The brakes though, when you're going slow like this, you don't get regen braking because it's really hard on the controllers. And we've just got cable actuated disc brakes. So they have like really minimal stopping power until suddenly they lock up. See, I don't think we're gonna make it up this hill. I do not think we're gonna make it up this hill. Nope. Yeah, nope. I have to walk up this. 60 and 72 volt scooters can get up this hill no problem with the right rider. Well, not no problem, it's hard on them, but you're not walking like this. Getting a little bit of exercise today. Turns out I'm a fitness. Okay, I hate walking around in all my gear. And down the other side we go. I'm gonna tuck out of the off-roadness because it's just not the best scooter for off-roading. It's not bad though, really, honestly. Okay, much better. Let's see, when we had full battery, if I floored it, the front tire would burn out. We're at 53 volts now. Yep, front tire still burns out a little bit. Suspension isn't very good for carving either. It just seems like a very intermediate suspension for both carving on and off-road, but still $1,099. Can't forget. Even the Kukirin G2 Master, which has smaller motors and a smaller battery, costs $200 more than this. But with that scooter, you do have some level of support. Something goes wrong, you can message them, they'll send you parts. It's got a warranty. I think with this scooter, you have like a warranty on paper, but whether or not they're gonna follow through with it is really, really hit or miss. Oh, this is pretty, very pink. All the cherry blossoms blossomed and then all the petals fell off already, and it's not even spring really yet. We just got 1 week of warm weather and tricked all the trees. And this is why we buy e-scooters, just zipping by all the traffic. The grips aren't slipping on the handlebars. The brakes are pretty okay. The suspension's pretty okay. The tires, can't go wrong with the hybrid 10-inch tires. We do have dual motors. Nothing's exploded or shattered or broken. I think this thing might earn the Ginger on Wheels seal of approval by the end of the video. But again, I want to reiterate that if you have something that goes wrong with the scooter, it's kind of on you to fix it. They're not going to be sending you any instructional videos and telling you what parts to buy. You might get lucky and they'll send you replacement parts with no video tutorial at all, but it's a gamble. Also, when you get this scooter, like I said, there's very little QC at the factory, it would appear. I was even missing some bolts out of the box, so make sure you go through the whole thing with an Allen wrench set and tighten all the bolts down. Put Loctite on the bolts you think might vibrate out. Make sure nothing's missing and it works as expected before you hop on and try and ride it. And we're seriously hurting for power now. We got about 50% battery. The controller is still doing that weird rev limiting thing. I feel like it's not giving me max output. It's like electronically limited or something. But we're at 49 kph right now. 48 volts. I think that's about like 32, 33 miles an hour. Not bad, but it's a far cry from the 40 max speed that I'm supposed to be getting. It seems like you really only get near the top speed with full charge on this scooter, which is fine. Again, $1,099, can't really beat it. I'm sure you could probably find some scooter on Alibaba or AliExpress that has this around the same specs, but this thing's on Amazon and it ships like within a week. So you're not going to be waiting around all summer for your scooter to show up. All right, we've been in max throttle for about a half a mile now. Still no explosions, no fires. I really don't trust the battery in this thing. Like, how cheap does the battery have to be able to manufacture and ship a scooter for $1,000? Even though you could probably buy a fast charger for this thing, it's got the standard GX16-3 charge ports. I still would only use the stock charger just because that's the only one I would trust, and I barely trust that to charge this thing. I wouldn't leave it plugged in overnight or anything. This thing has slowed down significantly. It's down to 57 kph. We're at 47 volts. I think that's around 30 or 40% battery, but I don't know if I believe that this thing's actually 25 amp hours. I've ridden 25 amp hour scooters before, like the Kukirin G3 Pro. Has the same specs, just slightly smaller motors. Well, same size, but less wattage. And that thing went like twice as far as this one does. Our torque has turned into kind of a mushy acceleration now. It seems like the controllers or the battery, they heat up really quickly, or maybe it's just the wiring. And you lose a lot of power if you're flooring it like that for miles at a time, but it's really not the worst scooter in the world. It does function as advertised for a bit. So that being said, if you're in the market for a cheap entry-level scooter that does mid-range things, you can check out this scooter on Amazon. It's called the Leoout, or Leoout. who knows? But it's really not a bad choice. If you're a parent that's shopping for your kid, and maybe your kid has like some motocross experience or off-road dirt biking experience, this would be a good scooter to get them without breaking the bank. But if you're an adult looking for a high-powered, high-quality commuter scooter, I'd probably shop somewhere else. I'm suspicious of this thing still, even though it performed okay on this ride. I'm not gonna put hundreds of miles on this thing. I'm not gonna test it out fully. Just don't have the time for that this summer. I've got so many other better gadgets to test. As far as similar scooters, I would look at like the VSET 9 Plus. I think that has dual motors. The Varla Pegasus, it's a little less, it's not quite as fast, but higher quality than this one. Suspension might be a little worse though. Or the Kukirin G2 Master or G3 Pro. Those are all in the same kind of bracket in my opinion, but this one hangs toward the lower end of the bracket. Is it even gonna make it up this hill anymore? 47 volts, 20 kPa. It blasts through the battery pretty quickly. Maybe that's why they limited the controllers electronically, so that you don't blast through the battery in like 10 miles. It does have regen braking though, so I'm getting some power back on the downhill here. But anyway, everybody, that's my slight off-road ride, first impressions of this Leoout scooter. But if you go to Amazon.com, I'll put the link in the description down below so you can find it easier. You just click on the little more button and you'll get the whole description for the video, and I'll put the link there. You can visit Amazon and check out the specs for yourself. It doesn't have the best reviews in the world, but only 1,099 bucks. Again, if you know of a faster, better scooter for around this price, make sure to put it in the comments, because there are a lot of people who message me all the time saying, what's the best scooter I can get for 1,000 bucks? And I guess this, in my experience, this is pretty close, but there might be a better one out there. All right, I'll shut up now. I'll catch you guys for the next video where I'm gonna be unboxing the E-Ride SS Pro from Voro Motors.